This is in a provincial capital city in southwest China. About 100 dabai, that is, anti-epidemic personnel wearing white suits, delivered 16,000 servings of vegetables through human linking. The local media called this an act of irresistible force. Of course, this was met with ridicule by Chinese people. One commented, "Everyone touched it with their hands, so the warmth of the epidemic would reach thousands of households." On today's global stage, it should be said that only Red China is still putting on a show of harsh virus clearance policies. According to investment bank Nomura, as of September 6, 2022, 49 cities in China had some form of lockdown in place, affecting about 292 million people, up from 161 million the week before. The neighborhood where the aforementioned food was passed around, the Huaguoyuan neighborhood, is known as the largest neighborhood in Asia, home to a whopping 500,000 people. Because the buildings are so high and dense, residents are said to lose cell phone signals regularly. This city of nearly 6 million people suddenly began to lock down on September 3rd. 3 days later, residents in this neighborhood began to cry for help because most of the people living here are laborers and they usually work long hours in factories and have no time to buy supplies. Now many of the residents have nothing to eat and start protesting in hunger. Do the residents have a way to get out? No. All the doors are locked, despite it being a tall residential tower. However, if you are an official of a certain status, there is no need to worry about it. Look, the police will help deliver the goods to your home. Did you drive here?
We were out to do some work, and we helped bring some food for people.
You help deliver food for people. Is this the right thing to do? We want to buy some food. Would your staff bring them to us?
This is how it is. Inside our WeChat group, someone said they bought something online in the supermarket downstairs from us. So when we came here, we helped bring them over. Are you filming?
I am filming because the government regulations don't allow us to go downstairs, nor buy stuff, nor allow others to deliver food to us, but you can.
This is Jingdong online promotional gift bag.
I don't care where you say you bought it. What we ordered online aren't permitted delivery, yet you drove a police car to deliver the goods. This is one of the epidemic prevention volunteers in Guiyang, kneeling in front of the big truck, delivering supplies in the early hours of the day, asking for some food to be left for the community she serves. There are still many kind people in China, but in front of the state machine, there is no room for their compassion. Now the militia has moved into the city to help the government maintain social stability. As the rest of the world gradually emerges from the shadow of the epidemic, China has taken its zero-virus policy to an unthinkable level. On September 5th, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake hit southwest China and rescue workers were urgently needed. However, an announcement from the local government required that people with a negative nucleic acid test certificate within 24 hours, a green health code, and no history of travel to cities at risk be approved by the Epidemic Prevention Command Center of both the prefecture and the county before they could enter the disaster area. During the earthquake, strong tremors were felt in Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province. But many residents were ordered to stay put in their flats and were not allowed to escape to open spaces downstairs. Since 2022, many Chinese have had more than 100 or even more than 200 nucleic acid tests. It is so easy to be asked to take a nucleic acid test. It was in late August 2022 that a single positive case was reported in a high-tech park in Shenzhen, where up to 100,000 employees throughout the park were asked to take a nucleic acid test quickly, and so we saw the spectacular lineup. For some children, perhaps the nucleic acid test will be one of their most memorable events growing up. During the school opening season, they come to school with the stamp of the nucleic acid test on their chests. Previously, the outside world has been guessing when or if Beijing would abandon the zero-COVID policy. Gradually, many in the foreign media realized that this policy was no longer about public health, but rather had evolved into a political issue. By now, this conclusion is becoming more evident and obvious. Because the situation has evolved to the point where most officials within the Communist Party system have realized that the 20th National Congress, which will be held on October 16th of this year, will be of great significance to all those within the officialdom. Xi Jinping will be in power for a third term after the 20th National Congress, which may determine the promotion of these officials within the officialdom in the next 20 years. If economic development used to be a hard indicator for assessing CCP officials, officials are now abandoning this indicator apparently and turning to a strict zero-COVID policy as instructed by Xi Jinping. The zero-COVID policy is similar to the CCP's previous insistence on a family planning policy that allowed only one child per family. For decades, the Communist Party insisted on this strict rule, and even as China's demographic catastrophe loomed, officials in all sectors strictly enforced the policy without flinching or relenting. Eventually, the CCP rescinded this policy, adopting a gradual relaxation of fertility standards over several years to avoid giving the impression that the party might be making mistakes. The CCP leadership's insistence on the zero-COVID policy has resulted in many ill effects, especially in the economic front. The economy, dampened by the embargo and other controls, grew only modestly by 0.4% in the second quarter of this year, and earlier this year, Nomura expected China's economy to grow by 4.3% in 2022. After several consecutive rounds of lockdowns, it revised its forecast downward to 2.7%. International business sentiment toward China has deteriorated. Shanghai Port claims to be the shipping center of the global trade center. Ha! The bragging is so bold. Look at this. The terminal has stopped operating. There are nearly 40,000 container trucks in Shanghai. If the port stops running, where will they be parked? In the city they park. Everywhere are container trucks. There's no alternative, you see. They have parked for several days. Parked trucks, you can't see the end. Really, the epidemic has made Shanghai destroy and cripple itself. This is a first. There is not much economic development. See? A long stretch of dozens of kilometers. All such trucks. The CCP is also using some breathing space from the outbreak to boost consumption and the economy. For example, during the Mid-Autumn Festival in mid-September, the government encouraged people in areas free of the epidemic to travel in order to boost the economy. However, unfortunately, these renewed activities seem to have brought about a new outbreak. As a result, officials from all over the country claim that the outbreak is brought by outsiders or by people who leave and return to the city. Even in the capital Beijing, with the toughest possible protective measures in place, the virus is still active. The recent outbreaks in Beijing's 3 schools have clear sources of infections, all of which originated from people returning to the city from other provinces. The risk of social spillover is generally controllable. The epidemic situation at the Beijing University of Chemical Technology and the middle school, affiliated to the Minzu University of China, has stabilized and entered the final stage. The Communication University of China still needs to refine its prevention and control measures so as to stamp out all possible risks. Local governments are underfunded and overburdened with epidemic prevention costs. For example, the president of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China estimates that a single round of citywide viral testing in Shanghai would cost about $30 million. Meanwhile, public discontent is growing. We have people who don't have anything to eat. Still, you can't swear at people. I will swear at you. I will yell at you. You can arrest me. I don't care. Everyone remembers this police number. They can arrest me. I don't care. Please do something about it. We don't have food to eat now. I just want to buy something to eat.
They didn't curse you. Menstrual periods, no sanitary pads to use, no formula for babies. We just need this. We have asked nicely for so long.
You have to treat us as people. Don't treat us as bandits or secret agents. Don't treat us as criminals.
When we asked nicely, you ignored us. When we saw you leave, he got upset and complained a bit, and you said we curse people. We want to resolve this through communication as well.
If you don't solve the problem for everyone tonight, there will be more curses on you that you don't hear. That's after people go home, lying under the blanket. They are all cursing you. Do you understand? This is in Shenzhen's Futian village. Nearly 30,000 residents demanded lifting the lockdown, and they even removed some fences. Later, hundreds of special police and militia were stationed in the area to maintain the government's ban. Just as we saw earlier, the militia moved into the southwestern city of Guiyang. The same was done in the world-renowned city of Wuhan, the place where the global pandemic began. It's still in the grip of an outbreak. After more than 9 days of a new lockdown, residents of several neighborhoods in Wuhan have demanded that the lockdown be lifted.
Unblock! 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 Unblock!
Similarly, many police vehicles and police officers were deployed to maintain the so-called stability and adhere to the government's control policy. In effect, the rationale for the zero-COVID policy is highly consistent with the rationale of the CCP's governance model. The military, militia, and police have been given unprecedented power. This family in Guiyang, the man was handcuffed by police officers armed with weapons for allegedly not cooperating with the nucleic acid test. The police also ordered the frustrated mistress to crouch down and listen to their reprimands. Crouch down. Now, during the epidemic, you are not cooperating with the legal measures and not respecting the epidemic prevention staff. I tell you, when you are told to open the door, you have to cooperate. Squat down, you a woman comrade. Don't force us to use coercive measures according to the law. High-tech surveillance in the name of epidemic prevention has strengthened the tracking of the population, and regulatory powers have also been given to neighborhood committees, who are responsible for enforcing the zero-COVID policy in their communities. This team of low-ranking bureaucrats could be a tool to enforce more state surveillance on China's sprawling cities. Adopting international travel restrictions could become a way to limit Chinese citizens' access to outside information and influence, the equivalent of another type of Communist Party digital firewall. There is virtually no way to live in China and avoid dabai. In a video widely shared on Chinese social media, a giant inflatable dabai rises over the city of Wuhan. Does it inspire a sense of inexplicable fear to see such a scene? Netizens' comments of white terror and dabai is watching you are among the most popular ones. Dabai in their white hazmat suits are everywhere, and there is no hiding from them. They ride on horseback and test Tibetan herdsmen. They walk in the snow in the far western counties of China, swabbing the throats of border patrol agents. And they even regularly test the staff of China's research stations in Antarctica. In addition to using all kinds of official forces, the CCP has also mobilized the masses to wage war. In the city of Chengdu, for example, an army of bamboo sticks has emerged. As a city of hills, the local people have traditionally used carrying poles, that is, bamboo sticks of 1 meter long, to carry things up the hills. That's why the term Army of Bamboo Sticks came into being. Now the city's dama, a Chinese word for older women, have become soldiers for the Bamboo Sticks Army in a new age. They are patrolling the neighborhoods with their bamboo sticks, driving young people back to their apartment buildings if they don't follow the rules. The CCP's rigid and bureaucratic zero-COVID policy has demonstrated before the world as never before the characteristics of CCP-style governance, a regime that is not responsible for the people and has no accountability. Therefore, the party cannot be expected to act according to the principle of doing what is best for the country. The people living in this country are gradually finding their lives less and less worthy of anything. This old man, who knows how many days he has been confined in the quarantine site. This time he knocked on the window of the adjoining neighbor. He and his neighbors are sealed off on the 12th floor. What is the approximate date that I will be allowed to leave? 5 more days of inactivity before you can leave. 5 more days. 5 more days before this thing is over? Yes. Here every day. I can't sleep. My back hurts. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Hold on. Hold on. Be careful. Ah, it's 12 floors. This is on the 12th floor. Ah.当兵的还有枪手，还有